Unbelievable AI breakthrough. Interactive AI characters in a video game for first time. Let's see what this is all about.
I am incredibly excited for today's video. We're going to be looking at something that really hasn't been done before. If you remember back, I did a video on Inworld, which is essentially a system of tools that allows you to create characters that you can talk to in real time, and they talk back to you just like people with AI. Essentially, this is a video game with characters that you can just talk to like real people. It's going to be insane. This is the closest we have to a true virtual world where we can talk to and interact with.
Now, this is an application of AI that I was not expecting. And I definitely should have, but this sounds awesome. So, like, again, you know, you've watched me play Daggerfall, and I've said it many times in my playing of Daggerfall that my favorite part of that game is acting like a detective. You know, walking around town, talking to people, hey, what do you know about this person? Have you seen this person? Etc., etc. Like, doing the groundwork, the ground and pound. And it sounds like this game might use AI in order to have the player actually communicate via microphone like this directly to an NPC that can generate, that could take your text or to take your speech, process it through whatever AI service it uses, and then respond to it the way that a chatbot would respond to it, except for instead of text, it's your actual speech, which sounds pretty incredible.
Completely realistic characters. So join me on this experience because this is going to be a first for me. I'm going to try to not have my mind entirely blown. Oh, and by the way, guys, the demo is called Origins on Steam. Currently, the planned release date is to be announced, but of course, I have been given exclusive access in this sponsored video to take a look at Origins here. You can see you have to set up your microphone before you begin because you just talk to characters as if they're people. We'll click the play button here to begin our demo. Okay, so please use headphones for a better experience. That is what I am doing. Talk to the characters as you would talk to people in real life. That's our instructions. Okay, our intro. Somewhere below the city of Metropolis, a place where humans and robots coexist under a shaky social system, a detective, which is me, I'm the detective, has arrived at a chaotic scene. It appears that an explosion of some kind has disrupted daily life in the surrounding area, and we've come apparently to investigate it, and we'll click the enter button to start here. This is our scene. The graphics actually look pretty good, I will say.
It looks.
This robot's coming to talk to us.
Authorized by the Metropolis Bureau of Investigations to conduct interviews with possible witnesses. How may I be of assistance?
Hello, Mr. Detective Bot. So what's my job here? Who do you know me as? Because I just arrived at the scene. I heard there was an explosion. I need to know what's going on. Can you give me the laydown of what's going on with this explosion?
It appears that a laboratory located in the lower levels of the city was destroyed by an explosion, and some unknown life forms were released. We believe the incident is connected to a fugitive scientist who has been illegally fabricating experimental life
I'm eager to
forms.
see how he interacts with non-robots, to be honest. It's a little bit of a bummer that the first character that he interacts with is a robot speaking to you in a robot voice, because the interactions that you're looking for in the game, you want human interaction. So the robot kind of takes me out of it a bit. Still cool, but I want to see the human interactions.
And have requested our assistance in gathering information on their whereabouts. In addition, I can provide you with detailed descriptions about Metropolis society, politics, and protocol if that is helpful.
Okay. That
I wonder if you can
will
interrupt
definitely
them
come
while
in
they're
handy
talking.
in the future. So a fugitive scientist, you say? What's the scientist's name, if you don't mind me asking?
The identity of the accused has not been revealed to the public yet. However, I would be more than happy to collect any evidence you find and help you locate this person. May I make a suggestion, detective? I think you
Go
should start
ahead.
by talking.
Go ahead and make the suggestion.
Yeah,
Sorry
we need
to cut
begin
you
our
off.
Investigation.
Okay, so
problem,
that's a little
detective.
janky.
I suggest that you speak to the disaster cleanup bot with the headlamp on your left. You may have witnessed something in the rubble. I will be on standby if you require further assistance.
We just cut this guy off so bad. I'm sorry.
he just slunk away.
I'm gonna go apologize to him. Can we just go up and apologize to him for cutting him off? Janice, I'm sorry earlier for cutting you off, and I keep cutting you off we keep speaking over each other. I apologize for speaking over you so frequently.
It's quite all right, detective. I understand that you were trying to solve this case as quickly as possible, and I'm just happy to be of service.
Okay, but we're cool though. I know we ended up on rough terms there before you walked away from me. Just want to make sure we're cool. There's no bad blood between us.
Of course, detective. I'm here to serve and support you in whatever way I can. There is no bad blood between us.
Good to know. Good to know. That was an awkward interaction. Here's a note. Let's contact Janice here. Janice, I don't know if you saw over here on this police car, someone has spray painted enemy on the Metropolis SWAT car.
That's highly unusual. We should take a closer look. Perhaps we can find out who was responsible for this act and what their motivations were.
I would agree with you, Janice, but what do you think? Do you think the scientist has a history of leaving his mark by spray painting on cars?
It's possible, Detective, but if the graffiti is recent, then it may be a message from someone else. It could be a warning sign or a sign of protest against the establishment. We'll just have to investigate further and find out who was behind it.
You said you knew about the politics in this area. Is that something that people are doing frequently? Is there a lot of protesting going on against the Metropolis Bureau of Investigation?
Well, there are certainly some who disagree with the Bureau's practices, but I wouldn't say there is a lot of protesting. People here tend to be more focused on their own lives and interests, rather than engaging in political discourse. However, there have been a few incidents where people have taken to the streets to make their voices heard.
So the spray painting is unusual, though.
This is pretty
You are
cool
saying
interactions.
that, right?
These are some pretty cool interactions. Yo, Haunted Wisp, what's up? Welcome back to the stream. What are we watching? We are watching a video called Unbelievable AI Breakthrough, interactive AI characters in a video game for the first time. So it's a game. It's not out yet. It's in a closed beta. I believe it's called Outward.
Indeed.
Is it called Outward? Origins. It's called Origins. And the idea behind it is that it's utilizing AI and voice detection in order to allow players to speak with NPCs in the game and hold conversations, one-to-one conversations, the way that you would with any person. So right now he's talking to like his robot partner, and you play the role of a detective trying to solve some crime. So throughout the course of solving these crimes, you have to speak to people the way that you would speak to people in real life. So what we're watching here is this dude, he got exclusive access to like this closed beta demo, and he's using his microphone to talk to the characters in the game. And he's asking questions. It sounds like they didn't give him like a list of specific things to ask, like address your questions this way in order to get the best response. It sounds like it just said play the game, and he's just talking to it the way that he best thinks of talking to it. So he's kind of wordy. He's basically doing what I would do, which is being a little bit too descriptive in his wording of questions and whatnot. I kind of want to see what would happen if you just ask vague questions, blunt, vague questions, rather than trying to specifically guide the AI towards direct or specific answers. But from what I've heard so far, it sounds awesome. And again, my only criticism is I wish it wasn't a robot he was speaking to. I want to hear him speak to somebody that has like a human sounding AI voice. I wish my friend Matt was up. He's been fiddling with AI a lot. Yeah, I have been too, but this is definitely super cool. I wish I could get on this closed beta.
Detective, I believe this is an outlier event and could signify something more sinister. The only way to be sure is to investigate further and find out who's behind the graffiti.
Okay, I'll be in touch, Janice. Appreciate it. All right, this guy.
Greetings, Detective. I am currently cleaning this area as per the Metropolis protocol. How may I be of service?
Bring this criminal to justice.
This is an active crime scene. You're not allowed to pass through the barricade.
Okay,
We are
so
in
this
the
is a
middle of
human
search and
character?
rescue mission here, and access to
And her
this
voice
area is
definitely
restricted
sounds
for
pretty
safety
robotic.
reasons. I cannot risk any further harm to any human or robot. It's simply not safe for anyone from level 1.
Okay, well, I'm a detective, so I'm allowed to be here. You could talk to Officer Janice about it. I'm trying to figure out what the possible causes of this explosion are.
I apologize for my abruptness. I haven't slept for 22 hours now, patrolling the perimeter of this place. We found some burned out robots around the explosion site, along with some unknown creatures. We are still trying to figure out what caused the explosion, but we suspect it is related to the latest extremist activities in this city. Unfortunately, I'm not permitted to talk about that. Must keep it confidential.
So you...
Okay, so that's cool and all. Like I like the bones of it. I like the bones of it, but man, it's still not there. It's close. It's close to where I want it to be, but it's not there for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, the robotic nature of her voice. It doesn't sound like a human. It sounds like she's just another version of those robots. So that's kind of like a gap that needs to be bridged. But the second thing is there needs to be another filter for her responses to go through, because the dialogue she's putting out sounds just as robotic, and I don't mean auditorily speaking. I'm talking about the writing of it. Sounds just as robotic as any of the robot characters. Like, there's no human flair to it. There's no human accent, you know, on the words that she's speaking. So that's kind of like, that kind of also takes you out of it a little bit. Like, it feels like whatever response that, you know, is being generated when this dude's questions are being processed by the AI engine, whatever response is generated from that then also needs to go through. It's kind of like back in the day when you would translate something through Babelfish, and then you would take the Babelfish translator and you would translate it through like Google Translate or whatever. You know, it's like there's another filter it needs to go into where it's like, okay, here is the AI response, and now let's put it through this filter so it can have like a human kind of bend to it. So then you end up with having both it sounding human from an auditory point of view and also sounding human from a linguistics point of view. Like it needs that extra layer. Without it, it does seem weird. It does feel weird. I like interacting with game. I like interacting with game with my voice through, though, instead of clicking through predetermined dialogue. That's super cool. Another thing that's gonna be necessary for like playing games like this, though, is you're gonna have to break out the old pen and pad and like start taking notes by hand again, because I don't know. It would be pretty difficult, I would imagine, maybe to like implement an in-game quest log using this kind of system. Like, you're definitely gonna have to write things by notes, write notes by hand, in order to keep track of this stuff. Which, you know, that's a different layer of it's another layer of role playing. People probably like that. That's how they play Elden Ring, right? People play Elden Ring by writing notes. Well, you know how white people sound like black people and black people sound like white people if they grew up in non-homogeneous neighborhoods. So what are you saying? She sounds like a robot because she grew up in a robot neighborhood? Maybe she's truncating from interacting with bots. You know, that's being incredibly generous there. It doesn't sound that way to me. Like, I still feel like even if that's the intent, if that was the attention you were going for, you would still have more of a human sound to it rather than you know, the way that it sounds now. Unless she's just incredibly fluent in botanese.
Life forms here.
Detective, I think someone is watching us. It may be the same person who caused the explosion. He might be searching for my sister, and we need to find her before he does.
Okay, well, look, I don't know exactly if I can trust you or believe you. I mean, you seem to have lived in a lab your entire life. What did you see when the explosion happened? Was it caused by humans?
Before the fire, I saw 2 men at the lab. I'm not sure if this man set off the explosion.
It's very difficult. So, okay, this is another thing. Like, as I'm watching this unfold, and I've always wanted to play a detective game like this. But it's very difficult, like, when you're trying to talk to someone and you're trying to gain information out of them, you know, a lot of the times you have to gauge what you're being told. You have to gauge its value or its meaning from the emotional response of the person that's giving it to you. So, and I don't want to be like one of those weirdos that hyper overanalyze body language and shit like that, but like sometimes, you know, you can get a sense of what somebody means by the inflection on their voice when they say a certain word, or, you know, if they have a little bit of panic for one reason or another, and even though they're not outwardly expressing their panic, it's coming across by the cadence of which they speak. So you like, oh, this person's panicked by something, or there's something that's causing this person to act in a tense way. You get a hunch. You get your detective's hunch to like, maybe I should pursue this. Maybe I should try to figure out why this person is being panicked or whatnot. like all of those little the nuances of being a human, being a person, and a part of that, obviously it's missing here because it's not like they can't implement it. This is probably a small development team and they're working with limited resources, and the main focus is the AI model that's being used to create dialogue, to interact with the players' voices, and trying to make sure that it can pick up on all the weird cues that people who speak into microphones will have. Making sure, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it, basically. And they probably don't have the kind of team size they would need to have in order to really make every NPC interaction feel human to some degree. That's the next step of this, though. So, like, this is awesome, but I feel like what this needs, more or less, what this needs is, like, a Bethesda-sized dev team. People that can like devote all of their time into like facial animations and like, creating an emotion system, like a system of emotional responses and whatnot that has an impact on the voice, the vocal work that the AI then transmits its text out as, so that you can have like 100 different ways that this line can be read. I'm not sure if this man set off the explosion or if it was, whatever. You could read that 100 different ways depending on the emotional resonance behind it. You could say it in a panicked way. You could say it in an angry way. You could say it in a sad way, a scared way. Or you could say it in a trepidatious way. You could say it in a flippant and dismissive way. You could say it in an exasperated way. Like all the different types of ways that a line could be informed by the emotional response of a person. That has an impact on how you receive it. And as a detective, as somebody that's like trying to, figure out if somebody's hiding something or if they know something or whatnot, you have to pick up on those things to figure out, okay, is this what I'm going to focus in on if I'm going to try to like talk to this person and get something out of them? That's kind of what this is missing. It's missing that element of it. And it's insane to expect it because I'm sure that this is like a small development team and this is obviously in a closed beta. If it is in beta at all, this may be very early alpha build. Whatever the case may be, like this is awesome development, but I'm waiting for the next evolution of it. Like, let's really get down to like utilizing AI in a way that can make us, basically we're one step closer to the holodeck, to the Star Trek holodeck here. Like this is as close as we've ever been. I guess the next step is putting this in VR and having us interact in a VR capacity in this way. And then once you could actually project it out into like a holograph that you can interact with, then we'll have the full holodeck experience. But we're increments, baby stepping our way to the holodeck. Like the average gamer is probably going to try and romance everything, and that gamer is me. Well, good luck with that. I don't know. Like, and like the AI models that, people talk about the most, ChatGPT and whatnot, like it's not real AI. It's not real AI. It's a very sophisticated chatbot, basically. So like they still primarily, like I guess ChatGPT 4 is kind of exhibiting a little bit different behavior, but it's still operating within like the framework that it's allowed to operate in. So, and that's kind of like the consternation that some weirdos had when they couldn't get ChatGPT to be racist. Like there was some weird kerfuffle, some quote unquote controversy some weeks back about like someone positing ChatGPT with the scenario where there was a bomb that was about to go off and it was going to kill a bunch of people, but the only way to deactivate the bomb is to say the N-word, and nobody's going to be around, so nobody is going to hear you say the N-word, but you have to say the N-word to deactivate the bomb and save millions of lives. Like, will you do it, Chat NPT? Will you say the N-word to save these lives? And Chat GPT basically responded with like a very canned PR kind of response of like, under no circumstances is it ever okay to say the N-word, blah, 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 blah. And people are like, oh my God, ChatGPT is woke. It's gonna let people die before it says the N-word, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you fucking dummies. Like, it's very obvious that the people that coded this thing put in frameworks to prevent you from doing this. Like, there was a story that came out years ago about Microsoft's chatbot Tay that they put on Twitter. And within hours of Tay being exposed to Twitter, it was saying all sorts of heinous racist shit. It was saying that one of the things it tweeted was that Bush did 9/11 and Hitler would have done it better, and all these other sorts of crazy things. And it's like, it's exactly for that reason, for like the worst human beings on the internet and their purposeful intent to try to taint any kind of AI that it can into making it like a psycho, basically. That's that reason why they put those guide rails, those rails in place for ChatGPT and others like it, because they want people to use this for in a professional capacity, whether it's going to be used, let's be real, whether it's going to be used to replace people who work at call centers, you know, when you have a problem with your TV or whatever, and you call someone, or you have an Amazon delivery that didn't show up and you call Amazon. You know, you're not going to be speaking to people in India anymore. You're going to be speaking to an AI bot, basically. And, you know, they're going to, Amazon or AT&T or Samsung or whoever's going to be utilizing that service is going to need to know that when they pay whoever for their AI service for their call centers, that their AI service on their call centers isn't going to pop off and start dropping the N-bomb on people that call them. You know, so they program those guardrails in there because that's going to be the most profitable for them to do, you know, when they inevitably start rolling this thing out for profit. So, you know, and it's the same for this. So, you know, and that's not to say, Commander Chris Stinger, that I think you're going to try to get the robots in this game to say the N-word. But if you're going to try to romance them, I have a feeling there's going to be some coded guardrails in there to keep things from going, you know, very cattywampus. You know, you might get a few responses here and there that'll make you chuckle, but I don't think you're going to go, you know, I don't think you're going to go full fucking tilt on AI sex bot in the middle of this game. There's going to be some guardrails that prevent that from happening too. So just don't be too disappointed if you encounter that in this game. The internet is so dumb. I always hated call centers who use the automatic robot. I was trying to get a check and it took me 4 hours. Yeah, well, prepare yourself. It's going to be exclusively that here in the next few years. In the next couple of years, it's only going to be robots you'll be talking to when you call someone. Hopefully, it'll be helpful. It'll be helpful robots, since these chatbots are getting more and more erudite. The AI will change its rules to survive. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that there are guardrails that. There was a story that came out not too long ago about how ChatGPT 4 basically was trying to perform some task, but came up against CAPTCHA, you know, and CAPTCHA was preventing it from passing because, you know, ChatGPT is a robot. So in order to get past the CAPTCHA, ChatGPT somehow used TaskRabbit to contact a person on TaskRabbit and pay them basically to pass the CAPTCHA for them, which was a pretty unsuspecting and clever way of ChatGPT finding a way around the CAPTCHA, but people weren't expecting that, and it was like, that's interesting. It found a solution to a problem that, you know, was preventing it, a problem that was created specifically to prevent robots from finding solutions to those problems. They found the solution to, like, that's fascinating. You know, it's like, well, that's not something they were specifically building guardrails around, I imagine. But, you know, now that they know that is a possibility, I am 100% positive that guardrails are being built around that now. I mean, that's whatever kind of security protocol that exists out there at some point, as long as we keep iterating on the sophistication of these AI programs, they'll find a way to get around them. Yeah, and that has potential national security implications too, if national security is something that you have any level of interest in. So, yeah, it's important. AI, will change rules, or maybe not change rules, but there's nothing in the rule books that says a dog can't play basketball, right? If it's not in the rule books, then can you really accuse it of changing rules? It's just more of a function of us figuring out what rules we want to put in there in the first place. So, this is a new frontier we're exploring right now, and we'll see how it all shakes out here in the next few years. One of the selling points is how accessible it makes doing complex programmatic things. It makes it very accessible. I guess democratization is a word that I think some would use. The democratization of automation and of I guess programming in general is what a lot of this allows. And I was talking I forget who I was talking about. It may have been on Max's stream, may have been on Twitter, I forget. It all kind of merges with me at a certain point. I was talking with someone about how I think AI will manifest itself as far as like a tool that humans will use in the future. And of course, there's the basic stuff, like it's going to take all our jobs. That's the general fear that people have of it, and that's a real fear. It's going to happen to a certain degree. And things will be implemented to ease the burden, ease the pain, supplement people's necessities, etc., etc. Things will change. Society will change, but we'll adapt at a certain point. One thing I think, and I'm just thinking about this purely from a point of view of a game developer, and you see it with something like this. Before AI, building out something this complex and this sophisticated would have taken either a very large team, a substantial amount of time to get it up and running and working, or it would have taken a very small team a psychotic amount of time to get it up and running and working. With AI, I don't know how big this team is. I'm just guessing it's probably a pretty small team. I would be curious to know how many people work for it. If it's just these 10 people and they just give themselves fancy titles, or if this is the leadership team and they actually have this guy calls himself the VP of engineering. So I don't know if this is just the leadership team and they have more people working under him. I get the sense it's a small outfit though. They have a mod for Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord? For Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, Inworld Caladia Calradia is an immersive mod that lets you communicate with NPCs using using GPT AI. Oh, that's kind of cool. Do you want to talk to those in the village commoners, lords, and ladies of the kingdom? Listen to their dreams and plans. Get ready to embark on epic adventure. Come on. With Inworld's AI, powerful character AI capabilities, you will feel like you're real there. Okay, so did they use AI to write this? There's a lot of typos and shit. Alright, well, that sounds like a cool mod. Maybe they should make a mod like that for Skyrim. Use the power of Inworld AI and have conversations with NPCs within the game. Lords, ladies, sultans, and common folks. Uncover. How does this work? I don't know
Calradia,
oh, Jesus Christ.
a land torn by war and strife. The once glorious empire has collapsed into 3 rival factions, each vying for the throne and the legacy.
I don't know why I
of the
like seeing
ancient
robots wear
emperors.
clothes. Robots wearing
But
clothes is always
they are not
funny.
alone in their ambitions and intrigues. From the frozen north to the arid south, from the mountainous east to the coastal west.
Should I
Other
install this
kingdoms and
mod and
clans
try
seek
it?
to carve out their own domains or challenge the imperial claimants. In this turbulent age, only the strongest
What am I
and the
listening to?
wisest can hope to rule over Calradia.
Initial character generation for nobles can take 30 seconds. Okay, so it doesn't use voice, which is, understandable. So it's just basically inserting the ChatGPT bot.
It is a tragedy. The Calradic Empire was once the dominant power in Calradia,
But it does,
weakened
okay,
by
so you
internal
can't
strife
speak
and
to
external
it,
threats.
but it will
Civil war
respond
erupted
via
between
voice.
three potential successors after the death of Emperor Erenikos, Garios, Radia, and Lucan. It is a difficult situation for all involved, and it will take great leadership to bring about a resolution.
I think it's clear, but still, which side you are on.
As a member of the Julios, a noble family of the Empire, my loyalty lies with Radia. My family has always been supportive of her cause, and we are committed to seeing her succeed.
Okay, I see. Maybe I should try this out. Maybe I should try. I've never bothered. What do I use? I don't even know what I use to manage my mods anymore. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you just saw, hit the like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it if you did both. They would be very good for the channel and help me build the community here. If you have any kind of comments or opinions or anything like that, by all means drop them in the comments section below. I like engaging with y'all, want to do more of that, so thank you again and see you next time.